I think most people who understand what the Iranians are up to and what they've been trying to do, and
Right.
they look at their development of ballistic missiles, and they look at the development of satellite launch vehicles, and they'd say, what is this for if not for ICBMs in the future? And what is that for if not to also potentially threaten and attack the US homeland? Iran is a threat, obviously, not just to Israel, not just a threat to the Sunni moderate states in the Persian Gulf. It is a threat to the United States, but Americans also, and we know this from the past, can't see that far away, right?
Right.
They just can't. It's too far. And this idea, and I've heard this also from conservative Republican thought leaders and pundits, is one second, we're going to go attack in Iran. We're going to kill 10, 15, 20,000 people, Muslims. And then more Muslims are going to hate us. Didn't we do that in Afghanistan and Iraq? What did that lead to?
That familiar voice is Katz. We spoke yesterday about the confusing signs regarding a possible American attack on Iran. Just yesterday, Yaakov was commenting on the very different ways in which Americans and Israelis are analyzing and perceiving this moment. For America, he said, it was less urgent, clearly a priority issue, but not the way it is understood in Israel. And we look at the many factors behind that reality. And then last night, there was a torrent of information in Israel coming at us about the movement of fighter jets, refueling aircraft, the arrival of significant military assets at an Israeli airbase, the evacuation of American personnel from various locations in the Middle East, and heightened concern, presumably arising from new intelligence that Iran has been readying missiles with chemical and biological warheads. I, of course, can't verify this, but this is the kind of information that was coming at us online and from various other sources. For what it's worth, I believe that this time with Iran is different from all the previous uprisings and tensions or periods of tension. It's more serious, widespread, and sustained. For 4 days now, Iranian university students have been protesting again, full on, and they know that they are likely to be murdered for doing so. This is a country and a people at wit's end. They are determined. And if they, the people, are going to force a military confrontation, which it seems they want to do, then I also believe that the Iranian regime will take down as many people in Iran, but especially Israel, as it possibly can. They, the Iranian regime, will go out in a blaze of revolutionary glory. This view, which I have just articulated, is also shared by Benny Sabti, an Israeli-based Iran expert. Benny was actually born in Iran, came to Israel in his teens, and I'm in regular contact with him. Benny appears on Israel's most watched television news show almost every night these days, Channel 12. For the first 6 weeks or so of this uprising in Iran, he thought it highly unlikely that much would change in the end. But his opinion has changed in recent weeks, as information regarding the scale of the mass murder that has taken place in Iran has slowly been reaching Western ears. As the legendary Iranian obstreperousness in negotiating has come to be understood by President Trump and his chief negotiators, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. All of these things have influenced Benny Sabti's analysis of the moment. So we begin this week's podcast not with the interview with Yaakov Katz. We start off with an excerpt from an interview conducted by Negar Mojtahedi, a Vancouver-based journalist with Iran International. Benny Sabti, coincidentally, also works with Iran International. Last week, Negar Mojtahedi spoke with Parviz Afshari, the father of 17-year-old Sam Afshari, who was badly injured by police during a demonstration. Sam was subsequently taken by Iranian police from his hospital bed. He had a breathing tube in his mouth. What happened next is explained by Parviz, his father, from his home in Germany. Sam and his mother were meant to join Parviz as soon as they could arrange an exit visa from Iran. 17 years old. Sam's crime was wanting to live in freedom and daring to express that publicly. This interview is powerful and also extremely important historically. Because of regime control over communication networks and their lengthy shutdown of the internet, we have very little direct, detailed testimony like that provided by this very brave man, Parviz Afshari. We have edited the full interview and will show you approximately 10-11 minutes. The interview is subtitled. If you would like to watch the full 30-minute interview, it is in the show notes to this podcast. I urge you to do so. To skip ahead to the State of Tel Aviv and Beyond podcast interview today with Yaakov Katz, which was conducted on Wednesday, February 24th, go to 1910. Okay, enough admin stuff. Now, here is an excerpt from the interview of Parviz Afshari by Negar Mojtahedi of Iran International.
He was only 17 years old. He went out to protest for his future and the future of his country and never came home. As families in Iran demand an end to the Islamic Republic, the world debates diplomacy as warships move closer. Today on Eye for Iran, targeting children, we speak with the father of a teenage Iranian protester killed in custody, wounded during the January uprising. 17-year-old Sam Afshari was detained by security forces. His dad tells us how he was later shot, execution style. I'm Negar Mojtahedi, and this is Eye for Iran. Parviz, from the bottom of my heart, my deepest condolences to you and your family, and thank you for finding the strength and the courage to speak during such an incredibly painful time.
شبکه شما که این ارتباط رو برقرار کردیم، من در خدمتتون هستم. الان وقت عذابی نیست. الان وقت خشمه. باید تمامش کنم.
My heart is shattered for you, and the fact that, like you said, the pain is so strong that you've moved beyond tears and anger. And the fact that your son, a teenage boy, was alive. They injured him, but they finished him off after, execution style. It's so important for the world to know what is happening to the people of Iran. Tell me, when did you know something had happened? Like from the time that you received your last message from Sam, when did you know something bad had happened?
3 روز یا 4 روز بعد این موضوع، چون اینترنت ها کاملا قطع بود، ارتباط نداشتم. بعد از اینکه به سختی ارتباط برقرار شد، خیلی کوتاه تونستم متوجه بشم کشته شدن سام عزیزمو، که گفتن اول اطلاعات ها خیلی گنگ می اومد برام. نگاه کنید توی یه سری رسانه ها گفتن که ضد نقیض مقدار، گفتن که چون دقیق نمیدونستم. الان جدیداً دقیق اطلاعات رو میدونم که سام رو این سرکوبگرا توی عظیمیه میدون مهران یک پلیس به اضافه 10 بوده که پلیس امنیت میگن، حالا نمیدونم چیه، اونجا بهش از پشت تیر میزنن. بعد بغل همین پلیس امنیت یا آپارتمان مسکونی بوده که اهالی اونجا تا میبینن این بچه از پشت تیر خورده افتاده، داره خودشو کشون میبره که به جا برسونه، اینا میگیرن، اهالی اون آپارتمان میگیرن این بچه رو بکشونن توی پارکینگ آپارتمان، در رو ببندن که چیز نشه، که این سرکوبگرا از راه میرسن، بچه منو برمیدارن با خودشون میبرن و بعد پیگیر میشین. البته پیگیر میشین یکی از همسایه ها، البته نمیخوام اسمشو ببرم به خاطر وضعیت امنیتی، که اونجا مشغول کار بوده، کارمند اونجا بوده، شیفتش بوده تو بیمارستان مدنی. میگن سام آوردن اونجا، سام نبود، خیلی دیگه هم آورده بودن، ولی یک پسر 17 ساله بود. ازش پرسیدن، گفت سام، و یعنی میتونسته صحبت کنه. بعد سریع اتاق اعمال اون چیزا رو مثل که براش فراهم میکنن، اصلا زیر چیز بوده، خواستن احیاش کنن، برگردوننش. حتی شلنگ بچه، شلنگ تنفس توی دهنش بوده، بچه رو اومدن زدنش. خلاص. البته خب عکسی هم هست از سام که شیلنگ تو دهنش بوده، شیلنگ تنفس تو دهنش بوده. دیگه یه ذره به خاطر امنیتی میترسن بفرستن برام، احتمال داره که بعد برام بفرستن. بعد اینکه تیر خلاص رو میزنن، منتقل میکنن سردخونه. بعد یک روز یا 2 روز اینطورا بعدش خانواده نگران میشن، میبینن 1 روز بعدش نگران میشن، میبینن که چیه، میان ارتباط میگیرن، هیچکی بهتون جواب نمیده، میگن بریم توی سردخونه ها و بیمارستان ها رو بگردیم. میرن سردخونه های بهشت، میرن فکر کنم بهشت سکینه است، میرن سردخونه رو جستجو میکنن با برادرم، که میبینن هم توی مانیتور اول لیست رو نگاه میکنه برادرم، لیست اسامی اون جانباختگار رو نگاه میکنه. بعد رو مانیتورشون لیست سام افشاری میاد بالا. داداشم که اول چیزی نمیگه به خانواده که چیزی گفت، اول خودم برم شناسایی کنم مطمئن شم. بعد خودش میره شناسایی میکنه، میگه آره خودشه. یه طرف صورتش بعد هم متلاشی شده بود از پشت بود. بعد گفتن باید مادرش بیاد تشخیص بده، شما چون عموش هستی. برادرش خانومم رفته بود، بچه رو صورتش رو دیده بود، نشناخته بود، چون بچه یه ذره صورتش چیز بود، نشناخته بود دیگه. گفته بود تتو داره، یه دونه رو سینه‌اش به زبان لاتین مادر زده. گفت یه ذره اون پارچه رو بدین پایین. من بچه‌م رو سینه‌اش زده به لاتین مادر. که وقتی تتو رو رو سینه‌اش می‌بینن، برای سام متاسفانه خودشه. بعد از این که می‌بینن، بعد خیلی تو فشار میذارن، میخوان سامو بدن، خیلی اذیت میکنن. قرار بود بفرستنش سمت اشتهار، یه 2-3 ساعت فاصله است تا خونه. بعد یه جای در و بیابونی همونجا بی سر و صدا گفتن باید دفنش کنیم، مراسم هیچی نگیم، شبانه. بعد خیلی با تلاش این ور اون ور جستجو کردیم یه جا پیدا کنیم نزدیک خونه باشه. با کلی مبلغ تیر رو که دادیم بهشونو. بعد اینکه تونستیم به هر حال یه جا براش پیدا کنیم پیش یه جاویدنام دیگه، طبقه پایینیش مزارش، طبقه پایینیش که جاویدنام دیگه است، آقای جاویدنام امیر بیاتی، طبقه بالاش سام افشاری پسر من. انقدر مزارها جوونای ما پرپر شدن. داداشم میگفت اصلا جا نیست، انقدر هست آدم، کجا باید جا بدیم. گفت وحشتناک. روی کانتینر رو هم دیگه توی سردخونه آدم بود دراز کشیده، خون، بوی خون. میگفت من تا داداش بوی خون رو تا حالا اینقدر از نزدیک حس نکرده بودم. گفت بوی خون بالای 800 نفر 1000 نفر فقط توی سالن و یه چیزی. حالا جدا از اون کانتینرهای کامینای کانتینردار جلوی سردخونه صف وایساده بودن چقدر تا خالی کنن. مغزم ارور میده اصلا. بعضی وقتا اصلا باورم نمیشه. اصلا مگه میشه؟ اصلا چطور میتونه آدم چونه یه انسان رو بگه؟ یک بچه سر من 17 سالش بوده، خیلی بچه‌های کوچیکتری بوده، 3 سال 4 سال. این بچه‌های بیگناه، بچه خانوم باردار بوده، بچه رو وایستادن جنین ببینن داره، نگاش کنن اون خانومو تارگو شکافی کنن. اگر بچه جنین داره پول 2 تا تیر رو بدن، هزینه 2 تا تیر رو بدن. یعنی وحشتناکه.
I'm so sorry. What do you want the world to know about your son? You know, why did he go out into the protests? What did he want for the future of Iran? And what does justice look like to you right now, if that's even possible?
عدالت اگر وجود داشته باشه، اگر عدالتی باشه برای این انسان‌های بی‌دفاع، باید جمهوری تروریستی جمهوری اسلامی رو باید کارش رو تموم کنه. یعنی باید تمام اینا محاکمه بشن، همونطور که محاکمه نورنبرگ بود. تمام اینا سردمداراشون، سرکوبگراشون، حتی یکیشون هم نباید دست مردم در بره، دست سازمان جهانی در بره، چون دستشون به خون جوانای ما، به خون مردم، به خون انسان آلوده شده. باید اینا محاکمه بشن. باید جمهوری اسلامی منحل بشه. جمهوری اسلامی باید تموم بشه. بعد از این جمهوری اسلامی نباید باشه، چون تروریستن اینا. شما گفتین به زبون تروریسته، تو عملم انجامش بدین، تمومش کنین. معطل چین؟
Chilling does not begin to describe the horror of a regime turning on its own people. On Monday this week, I was speaking with a friend living in Israel who is originally from Iran. He still has many family members living in the country, and he says that until now they've been safe. They stay indoors. No one goes to demonstrations. They're obviously very concerned about the future, but they do what they must and can. They lie low. To date, Jewish Iranians have not been targeted by the regime, and one hopes this will not change. He is able to speak, my friend, with his family members periodically. Their conversations, he says, are short and to the point. How are you? Is everyone healthy? Yes? Good. Okay, be well. Goodbye. My friend has, until recently, taken a long view of the situation within and with Iran. He felt that Israel and Iran each did their kind of share of spinning and theatrics. But no longer. The cynicism is gone. 47 years of this oppression, he says. The regime must go. The people cannot stand it any longer. And the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who has ruled with an iron fist for decades, is signaling that he, too, may believe the end is near. In recent days, Khamenei has done something unprecedented and delegated all decision-making power to his most trusted and loyal aide. Khamenei is believed to be in seclusion and contemplating ending his own life. He will not risk being humiliated and being captured by American forces. Okay, now for the main event. My conversation with our regular guest, Yaakov Katz, about Iran, America, and Israel. Speculation as to what will happen and when is off the charts. And Yaakov speaks of the very different tone of discussion about Iran that he hears now in America, and that we hear now in Israel. Yes, Iran poses an existential threat to Israel today, at this moment. But Iran also threatens the American national interest. We get into that as well. Yaakov and I finish with a discussion about the very significant threats to Israel's future, not from Iran or Hamas, but from within. Domestic fissures that are tearing the country apart. And that division signaled weakness to Israel's enemies in the past and was perceived to be an opportunity to attack, which they did on October 7th. We cannot afford to be smug, not in Israel. I'm Vivian Berkovich, former Canadian ambassador to Israel. Let's do this. Tuesday, February 24th, just before 4 in the afternoon in Israel. You, Yaakov Katz, are in Washington, D.C. for the AIPAC conference, which makes it what? Almost 9 o'clock there in the morning, right?
Exactly.
How are you?
Sunny outside, not too much snow. How bad could it be?
Wow, so that whole storm freakout thing kind of was exaggerated?
Besides for forcing me to have to take a train from New York to DC, didn't really disrupt anything on my end, at least. I know other
And
people had cancellations, but I just had my domestic flight canceled.
I always take the Acela between D.C. and New York, no?
No, for sure. But I landed Sunday morning, was coming right
Oh,
here.
I
So if
see.
you're already at the airport, take the connection. But
Got it.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. We never have enough time, so we're going to just dive right in. You're at APAC for the non-policy conference. What's this called these days?
The APAC Congressional Summit, ACS.
Okay. And I expect that it's much smaller because I remember it kept getting bigger and bigger until it was like 20,000 or something crazy. I gather it's a more exclusive event now. I have no idea how many people attend, but just give us a brief kind of overview. How's it been? What's been interesting? What's been less so? What do you think is kind of being accomplished there from your perspective?
Well, first of all, it's a great conference. I think it plays a very important role in, especially an election year like the one that the US is heading towards with the midterms. I'm very much focused on Congress, very much focused on policy, very a much different vibe than the big policy conferences. They used to bring in, 15, 16, up to 20,000 people. It's a few thousand people.
Right.
So maybe a little more intimate, but still same type of format that people who have been coming to policy conferences for many years would be familiar with: breakout sessions, main stage sessions, a lot of the big names, big hitters in on Capitol Hill, primarily some from the administration as well, and discussing really, obviously, the big issue for everyone this week, no matter where you are in the world, is Iran. What I find to be interesting for our conversation, Viv, is, in Israel, I left Saturday night to fly here, and people were, how could you fly? How could you leave? We're going to war. The drums were beating. It seemed like the world is coming to an end in Israel. People were getting the bomb shelters ready, the safe rooms ready, buying water and groceries, etc. You don't get that vibe here at all, right? Now, obviously, geography makes a difference. We in Israel are right next to Iran. Here they have an ocean that does play a lot into it. However, I'm not talking about how people aren't panicking here. There's no reason for them to panic. I'm talking about just the overall vibe of how people are discussing. I'm talking about like officials how are looking at Iran. You know, we'll see what the president decides. Don't yet know. Not the same kind of urgency that we're seeing in Israel, the way the media in particular, I think in Israel, is playing this up. 24 hours, critical, the war is coming to the Middle East, et cetera, et cetera. Seem very different when you talk to people here. Very,
Interesting.
very different. Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got this situation where we have, as we know, the most significant military buildup for the United States since 2003, when Iraq was invaded. We've got, I mean, every day it's like, the Gerald S. Ford is now, it's here and it's closer and it's in Haifa and it's still not, exactly where it should be. But I mean, massive amounts of, there are two huge warships, tons of fighter aircraft, submarines, we think. And it was so interesting because American friends of mine have been saying, Israel seems to be misreading this, exactly what you were just saying, because there is this kind of tension here and this anxiety. And it is fed by the media and the prime minister. And there you're saying people are a little more what? Not sanguine, but like this is a process and it's not happening immediately.
Well, I think here what you have is that people are very much focused on the prospect of diplomacy. And in Israel, everyone is very much focused on the military offensive that they anticipate will be coming. It, I think since the beginning of this whole thing, there has been a mistaken of kind of not an imbalance in the expectation by Israelis and by what the Americans seemed to be pushing for. Israelis read into what Trump was doing, into the amassing of the military force as if he's about to go to war. And that is imminent and any day. And as you and I both know, I mean, it's every day, all day. When is it happening? We're following, you have people who are tracking every plane and every vessel and counting down the minutes till the Ford gets to wherever it's going, right?
Yeah.
And there's people have created AI probability clocks that look at what is the chance that the war starts now or starts. I mean, we have gone down a deep, deep rabbit hole that I can't understand for the life of me what purpose it serves for the country of Israel, except for maybe some political purpose, which we could talk about. But why would we want people to live in such a state of fear? But I put that aside for a moment. Here in the US, I just feel the whole conversation is different. Donald Trump is amassing military, weapons and vessels and planes to put major pressure on Iran to get them to agree to a deal. And Steve Witkoff, the special envoy, the negotiator with the Iranians on behalf of Trump, basically finally on Sunday and Face the Nation said it straightforward. Said the president, I don't want to use the word frustrated, but the president is frustrated. And I don't want to use the word capitulated, but the president is frustrated that the Iranians are not capitulating with all the military pressure that's been put on them.
Let's take a look at that clip that Yaakov is referring to of Steve Witkoff being interviewed by Laura Trump, yes, the president's daughter-in-law, on Fox News on the weekend.
I know that we have red lines here from the U.S. How about over with Iran?
The president asked me that this morning, and I don't want to use the word frustrated. It's almost because he understands he's got plenty of alternatives. But it's curious. He's curious as to why they haven't, I don't want to use the word capitulated, but why they haven't capitulated. Why under this sort of pressure with the amount of sea power, naval power that we have over there, why they haven't come to us and said, we profess that we don't want a weapon, so here's what we're prepared to do. And yet it's hard to sort of get them to that place.
Now, back to Yaakov.
Now, it will happen at some point that if the Iranians do not give Donald Trump what he wants or what he needs to be able to say, I succeeded in making a better deal than Barack Obama, than anyone else, then he has the vessels in place. He has the means. He might actually do something. But if he can get that deal, he's not going to do something. And I just think in Israel, there's a whole other conversation. Like they're not seeing that side to it. And it was weird from the beginning, and it continues to be a little strange.
So let's forget about what Israel thinks and focus on what America seems to be doing and messaging, okay? And see if that can help us untangle this bag of snakes. The president has made his views clear and his red lines clear, and the Iranians are just not responding in a manner that seems to suggest that they're taking our position at all seriously. I mean, first of all, Witkoff's comments have been sort of derided since that day as having been a major gaffe, like, kind of amateur mistake. You don't speak like that. You don't say straight up outside of the closed room that we're there with all of our muscle to basically intimidate Iran into acceding to our red lines, however you want to put it, or as he did, capitulate. Do you think that for him to have made that comment was inappropriate somehow or a bit of a gaffe?
Well, I will say that it was definitely something that you don't expect to hear from the person who's the chief negotiator with the Iranians, because the message that anyone walks away with is that all of this bluster is just that. It's not real. And the president does not want to use military force. And that gives the Iranians more leverage, more wiggle room, and the ability to maneuver a little differently.
Thanks for tuning in to State of Tel Aviv and Beyond. The remainder of this podcast, a half hour or so, is available to premium subscribers only. Please consider becoming one to support our work. Either go to stateoftelaviv.com and follow the prompts to subscribe, or buy me a coffee. You can make a contribution there. You can find the link in the show notes to this podcast. If you appreciate our work, please like us on your podcast platform of choice. Rate us. 5 stars would be great. Every bit of input helps us to impress the algorithms and bots. And thank you to all of our listeners for being here. Until next time. We love hearing from you. So please comment on our website, stateoftelaviv.com, or send us a note to vivian@stateoftelaviv.com. That's VIVIAN @stateoftelaviv.com. And if you go to our website, stateoftelaviv.com, you can find the subscribe button and take it from there. Hope that you do that. On behalf of the State of Tel Aviv core team, Jan Zabo, our creative, graphic, visual, and marketing man, Amir White, producer and editor extraordinaire, sound guy, who is also impressively patient with me and my boomer tech deficiencies, and our social media manager who pitches in on everything. Thank you, Maya Naftalin. Thanks to the team, and thank you, listeners, for being here. Until next time, stay safe.